Hello and welcome. This is Chrisanne, and I'm coming at you from Elemental Energies with Chrisanne. We are going to be playing today and having a lot of fun. Probably going to be getting dirty. That's okay. The dirtier your fingers are with ink, the more fun you're having. I'm convinced of it. So today we are going to be playing with my absolute favorite rubber stamps. We are going to be playing with some Lavinia rubber stamps. And we are going to be making some deep pockets for our Season of the Witch journal that I am making. And let me show you, this is an example of one of the signatures that I'm going to be adding into my journal. So this is going to be a nice deep pocket that I'm going to glue to my journal here, here, and here. And I'm going to have a lot of things that we've been making. If you've missed the things that I've been making on my channel here, please go back and look. I have posted a video every single day of all different types of tchotchkes and fun little things that I've been making that we can tuck into this pocket. So today we're going to be making a series of these pockets. They're quite large pockets. It's, I don't know, 3/4 of the page. It's more than half the page. And that gives us a lot of space to add a lot of fun things. So I have a couple variations of this. I like this one better than this one, but you know what? I'm going to jazz this one up too. So we have a lot of fun things that we're going to be doing today, playing with these stamps, and I'm going to show you 2 different techniques for the moon or the sun, whatever you want to call it. So I have 2 different techniques that we're going to be showing for that. Stamping, I've shown how to do stamping, but you know what? We're going to show that again because I love to play with these rubber stamps. Let me get this out of the way. So this signature is a collection of papers that I've put together that are coffee stained papers. And I am going to be sewing these into my journal. So this bundle of papers is called a signature. I might be having more. I might be having less. I don't know. I haven't put the book together. Right now, I'm just making the things. I'm making all the tchotchkes that are going to be going in it. So this will attach to my signature. So if you've never made a journal before, that's what my terminology means. So we are going to be playing with some Lavinia stamps. If you haven't seen my other videos on Lavinia stamps, please check those out. Lavinia stamps are a stamp company that comes out of the UK, and they're quite different than other silicone or photopolymer stamps that are on the market. They're much thicker. I think you can see that. They're a lot thicker. The details are absolutely amazing. So if you are in the UK, go ahead and get them directly from Lavinia Stamps. If you are in the United States like I am, I get them from Patty DeBallos. And I'm going to link Patty's website to this video. She is a delight. The Lavinia Stamp website, you'll be able to find that one on your own directly. It's a little expensive for shipping if you're in the United States. That's why I buy from Patty, who is a U.S. certified retailer, reseller of, she works with Lavinia Stamps. So it's somebody, I know I'm getting real Lavinia stamps and not knockoff Lavinia stamps. Let's just say that. These are the real ones. And I pay, because I'm in the United States, I pay US shipping rates as opposed to UK shipping rates. And I get them much quicker because I don't have to wait for the UK shipping to get to me. And I might just add, I'm not sponsored. I'm not anything, but Patty's a delight. So check her out. That is my suggestion. So we're going to be using a couple of stamps. We're going to be using the willow tree. There are 2 willow trees. I own both of them. One points to this way, 1 points to that way. I chose to just use this one. So this is going to be reversed when we stamp it, and it's going to look like that when we stamp it. We are going to be using the witch. There's a new witch rubber stamp that Lavinia Stamps just came out with. I want it. I don't have it yet. I want it. Eventually I'll get it. We are going to be using the cauldron. And I have a couple other stamps here. I don't know if we're going to use them. I have a couple little mushrooms or toadstools. We may use those to jazz things up. I have this beautiful foliage. Wait till you see how I use that. Oh, and I have more mushrooms. So those are the stamps that I have here in front of me. You can find all of these by going to either Lavinia Stamps website or Patty's website. They are in categories. So you can look under mushrooms and you'll find the mushroom ones, the witch ones, the tree sections. They're all in their own sections. You'll find them. It's very self-explanatory. But first and foremost, what I did on this one was I created the moon. And the moon, I had so much fun creating this. So let me get a piece of paper here. Well, actually, I don't need a piece of paper yet. Let me get my gel press. That's what we did for this particular one. My gel plate, my gel press, however you want to call it. That's how I created the moon. And wait till you see how we're going to do this fun moon. So let me move this to the side and let me pull out the rest of my supplies. So we have a brayer. I can't find my ink only brayer. I just used it the other day. Why would I be able to find it? I don't know. So I have my ink only brayer, and I have what are called brushos. And these are watercolors that are a powdered pigment watercolor. You sprinkle them in, you sprinkle just a few like granules in here. You add water, and then you get this watercolor. They're amazing. I think those are out of England too. So we're going to be using a yellow one, and let me see if I can get this off. We're going to be using a blue one. So let me put those lids there. I get covered no matter what I do. I get covered, but hey, that's okay. The next thing we're going to be using is my favorite ink color, Elements by Lavinia Stamps. So these inks that I use all the time and I'm always talking about are by the exact same company that makes the stamps that we are using today. And oh yes, there's the website. That's the actual direct. Oh, there goes my light. Hold on. Let me get my light going. There we go. This will, if you are in the UK, go ahead and purchase it from laviniastamps.com. If you're in the US, go see Patty Del Bello's. I'm not sponsored. I'm happy to be sponsored, but I'm not sponsored. So I'm using my favorite color, which is Mermaid. So what we're going to be doing is we are going to be taking our brayer. A brayer is this tool. It's a rubber tool that swivels on a handle, and it's used by printmakers. So it is super easy to ink up by just rolling on the ink pad. I'm not pushing. I am just touching the surface of the ink pad, and I'm rolling this. I need to put the lid on this, otherwise I will be covered even more, but that's just me. Next thing, wait a minute, I just see a couple things on my plate. Oh, and so I'm using a gel press or a gel plate. So it's spongy, it's jelly, it's a clear gel plate. It's very sort of squishable. And this is used for mono printing, one-time printing. Sometimes you get 2 prints out of one. But this is a tool used for mono printing, and we are going to do a mono print. We are going to do a single one print. I have my inked up brayer. I am going to roll it on my gel plate. And this is a round gel plate. I forget if this is 4 inches. I'll measure it later. These come in all shapes and sizes. They're fantastic. So I have my gel plate inked up. I'm happy with that. This, I'm going to move aside. We are done with this. I can clean that off later. The next thing I'm going to do is I have a fan brush that clearly I didn't clean last time. This is called a fan brush. What I'm going to do is I'm going to dip it in the yellow and just kind of swish it around, mixing that paint. Since I already had blue on this, it's okay. It's going to turn to a little bit of green, but that's all right. I can't. Some people can just tap their finger and tap this and get like beautiful speckled spots. I don't have that ability. I don't know what's missing within my DNA to do that. So I tap this. Now, as I'm tapping this, can you see those little spots up here on my gel plate? It is the water from the watercolor that is reacting to the ink that's already on there. Let's come in with this blue color. I'm going to swish this around. This is a darker color, so I'm going to kind of wipe a little bit off in the cup. My fan brush is loaded. I'm tapping this around. Let me wipe this off, which is something I didn't do the last time. I'll give that a clean later. Let me move this out of the way. Let me put the lids back on these because we are done with this for right now. Next thing I need to do is come in and wipe all of this because I can be a disaster sometimes. So I need my surface as clean as possible because I am going to be using white paper. Okay, I am happy with that. Let me grab my piece of white paper. This is pre-cut. So this is 5.5 by 5.5. That is going to be my pocket. Let me tell you really quickly. Yeah, this is a 4-inch circle gel press or gel plate. So let's see, I like this side better. Sometimes you can mount these on an ink block, on a rubber stamp block. I don't need to. It is on something right now. I am going to push this down. I want it half on, half off my paper. Visually, I find that more appealing instead of having it right in the center. As I press this down, you can kind of see through and get a sneak peek of what's going on. I am giving this a fair push like I would a rubber stamp. This is such a fun process. It's kind of like Christmas. You get to see the reveal. And I am going to peel this away. Ta-da! Isn't that pretty? And I need to clean this off because I will have everything covered. Let me give you a close-up. So you can see all those little speckles. They were sort of reactive with the ink, but they also added, like, look at this. That adds beautiful interest going on there. I love it. It basically was very quick. So within a minute or two, I created this. I'm happy with that. That it is quick, it is easy, and it's gorgeous. Look at all the different colors. Now, I could have added any colors I wanted with my brushes. If you don't have brushes, what watercolors do you have? You want a nice saturated watercolor. That's key. Getting something that's really saturated, not just water with a little bit of color to it. You want something quite saturated. And I'm happy with that. I'm loving that. So now I want to use my tree. I do have my stamping block here. I want to push this down so it makes contact and stays attached to my stamping block. I have a collection of inks here that we are going to be using. And you know what? Before I do that, I want to put the cover back on my gel press, so that stays good and doesn't get problems. Let's move some of these things here. Okay. So I have a collection of colors. I want to use truffle. That's the one I want to come in with. That's the brown that I want to use as my tree base. So I am going to gingerly ink this up. I'm not pressing very hard with this ink pad. If I press, I'm going to be smushing the ink all over the stamp. I don't want or need to do that. I am hitting the edge. Some people come in and wipe it. Once you wipe it, you need to tap it afterwards. Otherwise, sometimes you have some like wipe marks on your stamp. I don't like that look. I like the look of the tapped ink. There, I'm happy with that. I am using 110-pound white cardstock. So I am going to come over here and I'm going to raise this up and bring it off just a little bit. Let's put it sort of over here. And I'm going to show you what we're going to do with this later. I am letting this stamp sit on the paper. I'm letting the ink connect with the paper. I'm letting the ink saturate into the paper. I am taking my sweet time with this. I'm covered. I'm just covered. But that's okay. Ignore that. Anyways, getting back to the stamping. So I have let this stamp sit here and I've let the ink connect with the paper. I'm not really pressing it. I'm just letting it sit there. I'm just letting it hang out and kind of do its thing. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to give it a press. I have this stamp mounted on an acrylic stamping block. It's kind of a large stamping block. If you do not want to use your stamping block, you can use your Misty stamp press. I showed that a couple videos ago on how to use the Misty. I'm an old school stamper. I like to use my stamp block. This is a large stamp. I am using 2 hands. I am putting firm pressure. I'm giving it an ever so slight wiggle, but mostly I'm pressing from here to here and then here to here. That's kind of how I work. There, I'm happy with that. It has made contact. Fingers crossed. Oh, I'm very happy with that. That is what I want. Perfect. So let's take this stamp, peel it right off the block. And now I'm going to come in with my Witchy Witch. And for this one, the ink that I'm using is my VersaFine Clair Black Nocturne. This is a fantastic black ink pad. Let me make sure this has really good contact. If your stamp doesn't have really good contact, and this has happened to me, I turn it over and the stamp falls off and smudges all over my paper. We don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a really good, generous inking. Once again, I am not pushing. I am tapping, 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 tapping. Some people come in and do this, but look at, can you see those streak marks? There, you can kind of see it there. That's why I don't do that. I don't want those streak marks. It's one thing for me to initially do that to load up my stamp, but then I come back in and I tap. Especially when I'm using a silhouette stamp. This is a solid silhouette stamp. There, you can see I got rid of those streak lines. There, you can see it right there. And I just kind of tap, 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 tap. Now, my other trick, I did this in my other video, is I huff on it. I breathe on it. That is a really old stamper's trick. It's called huffing. And it's not in like a bad shame on way. It's in a good stamper's way. I'm leaving this connected. When you huff and breathe on the stamp, the moisture from your breath moistens the stamp even more. Gives you more playtime. I need this stamp to connect. When I'm working with a silhouette stamp like this is a solid silhouette stamp. Let me give it some pressure, side to side in a moment. I want this to connect. I want this to really be solid on this paper. Ta-da! Love it. Let me just put that there. The next one I want to do is the cauldron. Now, I also want to say, I've had these stamps for years. Years and years and years. Like, I don't know. 6, 7 years-ish. They've held up beautifully. My investment has lasted. My investment has stood the test of time, and I am very happy with my investment of these stamps. So this is what we have so far. It's nice like that. I want to come in and I want to ground the tree. I want to ground her, and I want to ground the cauldron. So what I did is I took a piece of paper. It's just plain cardstock. It's the same cardstock. It's the 110-pound cardstock. And I tore it. When I'm tearing it, you see how it gives me sort of like mountains and ridges and hills? I want to take this, and where'd I put it? My green. Oh, I have it right here. That's why I'm not seeing it, because I have it ready. I have a green makeup sponge. Well, green because I added a lot of green ink. And the green ink that I added is Pine Elements, Lavinia Stamp, Pine. You know, if you've watched my videos before, once I ink something up really good, I get quite a few impressions from it. I don't want this super, super, super dark. And I'm happy with, I've already inked it up. And I just tapped it in my ink pad and swirled it off and then tapped it off in the lid. That's all I've done to it. I don't need to add any more. I don't want it super dark. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to do some swirls here. I'm going to come across and do some swirls. These are solid stamps. It doesn't matter if I ink over it because they're solid silhouette stamps. See how I grounded that tree? You see how the tree looks like it's now on a hill. This gives this a lot more dimension. I have made this hill going all the way across the witch. It is behind her, so it gives it depth and it gives it layers. Now let's come in and do another one to ground her and her cauldron. I'm going to make this one much darker. I am going to swirl much harder, giving a lot more pressure. Come in and wipe off all the sponge bits. I've had these sponges for years. There. So you see how I kept this one light in the background, but it gives it layers. Let me pull it back a little bit. So you can barely see this light one, but this dark one stands out even more. She's closer. You want her to stand out. You want this to fade into the background. Let me give you a close-up of what I'm talking about. See? Pretty cool. We're done with this. Let's move this to the side. The next one I have is my blue. I have inked this up the same way. I especially don't want this one loaded with a lot of ink. Let me tap that off. You don't see a lot coming out on that. That is what I want. I want a little bit of ink. A little bit of ink to come out. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to gently and lightly fill in the background. And I'm filling in the background with that same mermaid blue. I love that mermaid blue. I use that for as many things as I can. Now, if I wanted to come in and just do a little bit darker on the edge, little bit darker on the edge, little bit darker on the edge, little bit darker over here on the edge. You see how that frames it just a little bit? I better clean this up. Hold on. I try and clean some things up as I go because I'm working with white paper. Now, my next thing that I love to do when I'm doing these is this is my Jelly Roll by Sakura, and this is my glitter. So it's just, you can see glitter on the cap handle thing. That's how I know this is my glitter one. And I come in and I just come around and I outline the edge of the moon. I do not go over her because I want her to stand out as if she's in front of the moon. And I will show you this. Sometimes it's hard to see the glitter on camera. Oh, there. Oh, good. You can see it right there. You see how that makes this pop even more? And it just gives it a little, I don't know, extra something. Now, maybe I want to come in with a couple mushrooms around here. Let me grab truffle. I want this brown truffle. And I want to move my cauldron. And I want to put some mushrooms. This just gives it a little something, something. And I can stamp that, secondary stamp that to make that look like it's in the background. I'm going to give you a close-up of that in a minute. Stamp that over. Do another background one. And then come in with that one. Let's do a couple background ones there. Darker one. I'll do another darker one. Let's do a background one. Background one means it's my secondary stamping. Normally, every stamp I do, I ink. But when I want something to look like it's in the background, there's my secondary stamp. Secondary stamp looks like it's in the background. Looks like it's in the background. These darker ones look like they're coming more forward towards you. See? That's a really cool stamper's trick when you're working with some things like this. All right, let me move that aside. And that was with the truffle color. And the next thing that I want to do is I want to round the edges on this, because this is going to be a pocket in my journal. So let me get rid of these. It's my ring. I almost lost my ring. I don't want to lose my ring. And then in order to get the notch hole, I am going to grab my circle punch. This one is a little bit smaller than an inch. I want a little notch hole right there. My pocket's done. I am very happy with that. I think that is going to be a perfect pocket in my journal, my Season of the Witch journal. Now I want to show you another way that I make the moons. This way. We're going to do this one. So let me make some space. I'm constantly needing to make space. I have a tiny space here, so we're going to be using the same colors, but we're going to add an introduction of a couple more colors. So in this case, I am going to be using my stenciling brushes, and I'm going to be using a yellow, a red, and don't mind my hand, where's my other one, and an orange. I have pre-inked these up as I do. There's a lot of ink left on my brushes pretty much at all times. This moon, maybe you don't have a gel press. Maybe you don't have a gel plate and you can't do it with that gel plate one. But Lavinia Stamps sells these acetate circle masks. And they're used for stuff like this, where you can make moons, etc. Maybe you just want to make a bunch of polka dots. But it is fantastic. So we are going to need this one. I have like paint and ink all over it. These are super thick acetate, so it's a really good quality. So we're going to need that one. We're going to need the inside and we're going to need the outside. We're going to need both. Okay? So let's take this. I can position this anywhere I want. This is going to be my moon. I kind of like things offset. I don't necessarily like everything right in the middle. I do like things offset. So I'm taking my yellow, and let me just tell you what color I inked it with. I inked this with Sahara. It's inked with Sahara. And then the orange is inked with Tiki Torch from Kathleen Pooler. And the red is, Paprika. That one. Let me leave them out in case I need a little more. I will leave these right over here at the ready. Okay, now how I do this is I hold my, you can tape this down with some washi tape or some low tack tape. I hold it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my yellow and I'm going to go completely around. But look it, I'm not going to do the very center. I'm going to leave a little bit of white space in my very, very center. Next, I'm going to come in with my orange. I'm not on the edge. I'm coming in a little bit more with my orange. I'm pressing just a little bit more. You get a hair idea of the orange. And then I'm coming in with my red. My red, I'm coming right to the edge. That I want on the edge. This is going to give me either like a fiery moon or a fiery sun. You can call it what you want to call it. Now look how I left that bit of white space. It just gives it like a highlight. Super easy way to do a highlight. Next, what I want to do is I want to come in and do my stamping exactly like I did the last time. So let me grab my stamping block. Let me grab my tree once again. I'm going to give this a nice press to make sure it's making contact. It's not going to fall off. I have had that mistake before. I need to come in with that truffle brown color. Tappity tap tap. And let's stamp this up a little bit higher, over a little bit. So it's up higher. It's covering my, you call it sun, moon, whatever you want to call it. I'm calling it moon. It's covering that a little bit. I am giving this like corner to corner. It is connecting with the paper. And let's give it one last push. See what we got. I'm holding the corner of the paper as I lift my stamp up off of it. I need my paper to stay down and not come with me. Ooh, lovely. I'm very, very happy with that. Okay, let me remove this stamp. Let me get the witch. Make sure that has really good contact. I'm going to come in with my First Fine Clair Nocturne. Tappity tap tap. There. I'm generous when I'm doing a silhouette stamp with black. I'm very generous with the ink. Okay, I want this offset from the tree, but over that moon just a little bit. I'm going to do those layers again with the ground. When I'm grounding the tree and I'm grounding her, I'm going to do those layers again. Giving this a little bit of a rock. Rock and roll. Pressing. And once again, if you don't have the hand strength to do something like this, use the, in fact, I have it right here. I'm not going to use it, but I'll show it to you. The Misty stamp press. You know, you load the stamp in on the inside of this. You put your paper in here and yeah, smush it and stamp it. And then if it doesn't make a good impression, you can do it multiple times because you hold everything down with your magnets. I showed that the other day, so go back and check that video out. Haha. See how I did that over the moon a little bit? Love it. All right. Next thing I want to do is the cauldron. Get that stamp block. Yeah, let's ink this up. Close my ink. Okay, and let's stamp this right over here. There. I love it. It's beautiful like that, but I think it needs a little bit more color. Remember, we kept this circle out. We took that out. I'm going to get rid of these. One of the reasons we kept that out is because that is a perfect masking tool. Now remember, I have this green one here. I'm going to show you how I use that. Oops. But in this case, I don't need this yet. I'll use it in a minute. I need a green pine. That's the one we're going to use. Now you might look at this and think, okay, that looks like something from under the sea. Sure, you can use it for that. It looks like some fern something. Sure, you can use it like that. That's not how I use it. I take it and I stamp. I need this left out. And I stamp this all around because this works as a beautiful frame for my piece. I am stamping inside that moon. I am going to come over the tree. And I'm going to come down here. There. Isn't that cool? Let me clean some of this up. Let's get rid of this. We don't need this. Put that over there. Now, let me show you what I do with that circle. Oh, actually, let's let this dry and let's do the ground first. Yeah, I think we're going to do that. So I want to start by giving the tree sort of a platform to stand on. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to do some circles. This is my green sponge. I'm going to do some circles. Relatively light, swirly circles. There. It is nice and grounded. Next, I want to come over here and I'm going to ground her. Let's see. I'm going to ground her and I'm going to ground her cauldron. And I am coming in much darker. A lot more pressure. Swish away some of the bits. Sponge bits. You know what? I don't like how I did that. I am going to come in and I'm going to ground her better than that. Yeah, let's come up a little higher. There, I'm happier with that. Let's move that out of the way. There. So we have our tree up here on this little hill. We have her on her ground with her cauldron. Now we can come in with our circle mask. This is why I left this out. I'm going to come in with my blue. This is my blue. And I'm going to lightly swish all around. I don't want to get that blue on my moon. I like my moon the way it is. I don't want to add, I know my arm's in the way, sorry. I don't want to add another color to that moon. See how that leaves a beautiful halo. Some nice light blue. I don't like my blue super dark right here. Where's my other one? This was super dark. Hey, it has its time and its place. It is super dark. That was the, let's call it first generation using the ink on the sponge. This is like fourth generation using the ink on the sponge. I like that. Now let's come in with that glitter again. And I am going over the branches and over the sort of vining foliage, because that doesn't bother me. But I'm coming behind her. I do not go over her with this. There. I think you can see that. I hope you can see that. And I want to come in, and I am only rounding the corners on the top because this is going to be going into my journal. And I want to do a notch hole right here at the top, middle-ish. Let me grab my signatures for my journal and show you what this is going to look like in my journal. How cool is that? How neat is that? So I'm going to glue it here, glue it here, glue it here. And then this is going to be a tuck spot. Let me grab something that I've made for my journal. So we just made some of these. This is the perfect spot to be a pocket to hold that. I can put a mini notebook. I can put some paper to do some journaling on. So many things I can do with this pocket within my journal. But what a pocket! What a really simple and easy pocket. So I used 1, 2, 3, 4 stamps. 4 stamps to create this. 3 stamps. 4 stamps. 3 stamps. I do like the vining. I just wanted to show you some different variations, and we used these, and we used the gel press as well. Super, super, super easy with just a few. I wanted to put this away so I don't lose it. A few small collection of supplies. And of course, the inks. I'm assuming you have inks. You can try and use whatever inks you have in your supply. Clearly, if you've watched me before, I use the Lavinia ink pads a lot. Those are up there. And that and the VersaFine are some of my favorites. I mean, I use other things, but these are definitely my go-to. So if all you can afford is a couple of stamps, look what you can make with just a couple of stamps. This is also why I didn't round the corners. I wanted this to fit in to the corner perfectly of my my journal. So if I'm going to put this on an inside page, if I need to come in and do a little bit of a trim round the corners again, so be it. That's fine. But I'm quite enamored with these stamps, to say the least. Once again, this is not sponsored in any way. I have purchased all of this all on my own. Love to be sponsored, but I'm not. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. But I'm not. This is 100% me and my money invested in these. I just think these stamps are wonderful. We are going to do so many other things, not necessarily for this journal, but I have another journal planned that's going to be a fairy mushroom journal, and Lavinia Stamps makes a ton of fairies and clearly a bunch of mushrooms. I even more mushroom stamps. So we're going to be doing that. I'm not going to dedicate a whole month. I'm going to sporadically be doing things like that. The month of October of 2024 has been dedicated to this journal, Season of the Witch. I am very happy with this pocket. I hope you are too. I hope this gives you some ideas. And maybe you have these stamps and this will show you a way that you can use them as well as the inks. Please subscribe to my channel, like my videos, share my videos. I really appreciate all the new subscribers, the wonderful comments that I've been getting. And if you're making some of these fun things along with me, I'd love to see it. Tag me on Instagram. It's Chrisanne1234. And of course, you can find me on my Facebook business page, Elemental Energies with Chrisanne. And of course, you can check out my website because this journal is going to be for sale as well as some other journals. And that's Elemental Energies with Chrisanne.com. I will be linking some of the other websites that I have mentioned in this video to the description of this video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care and be free.